All right, guys. So here's the deal. We're jumping back in our designer bag today from the house of Givenchy. And man, when it comes to this house, they really can't miss to me. I mean, some fragrances are better than others, but whoever the perfumer is, I'm going to guess it's a she, really puts it down. And hopefully today is a reiteration of that sentiment. So strap up. Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. Today from the house of Givenchy, we have Gentleman Society, the black bottle. Givenchy is goated, in my opinion. In the designer category, not much is really messing with Givenchy. Maybe YSL. Shoot, not Gucci in my opinion. Dior, but they have a limited selection of stuff I find to be absolutely banger. But Chanel ain't messing with them. Marc Jacobs ain't messing with them. I mean, there's a lot that ain't messing with them. When I go into a Sephora or Ulta Beauty, man, I could literally tell somebody to pick anything off of the Givenchy line and you will like it or love it. Respectable, sophisticated, in many cases highly seductive, in every case very classy. This house could have very well, all their fragrances could be put in the niche category to me to some extent, because the blueprint of these fragrances is found in so many niche fragrances. It's not even funny. Anyway, so we're talking about the black bottle here. Gentleman Society. When did this fragrance come out? 2023. So this is a pretty recent release. Let's get initial thoughts. Again, when I smell these fragrances, I typically either get classy, modern sophistication, or I get date night seduction. Those seem to be the two categories we sit in. We don't sit in casual sporty. We don't sit in fougere much. We don't sit in, like linen or anything. It is straight seduction or masculine class, fragrances for the modern man. As far as the type of DNAs that Givenchy comes up with, I love Reserve Privé. I love the Gentleman Society line or whatever. I love their older classic ones. There's a fragrance called Bois something. I don't know. They're all bangers. I've owned many of them in my past. And I think it's about time I probably pick up some re-up on my Privé or my or this if it's good. Oh, man. Okay, so we got Iris. So I'm already biased. You know what I'm saying? Wow. It's almost lipstick iris. Sorry, I'm just shaking this because I really want the alcohol to get out of the fragrance because there's a lot of beauty going on here. Yeah, okay, so oddly enough, this is the same iris note as Dior Homme Parfum 2025. I recently put my nose to that last week. Y'all saw the review already at the time of this release when this drops. It sits between DHP and DHI, Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum. If you guys want to know what that iris note is like, it's a bit candied, it's a bit creamy, but it's not just buttery creamy like in Dior Homme Intense. This has a freshness while still being smooth. I gotta give it to them. Again, even though I'm not a fan of Dior Homme Parfum 2025, they rendered the iris beautifully. It's just the delusion of everything going on around it that just feels cheap. But nonetheless, if you put your nose to Dior Homme 2025, matter of fact, let's just call it what it is. I'm going to make a bold statement, and I haven't even cracked it open this fragrance in actual detail yet. This fragrance is better than Dior Homme 2025. If you liked Dior Homme Parfum 2025 at all, this should be your alternative fragrance to it because it's way denser, way more complex, and still has a top freshness to it like the DHP DNA is known for. But this is way classier, way more layered. This is a date night fragrance only. Oh, it's good, man. That iris is just so beautiful. There's almost a herbal quality to this, like either medicinal or like spa-like undertone to the iris that makes it feel very fancy. Don't listen to herbal and think earthy. Earthy's not the right word I would use here. It's got this kind of, you know, when you smell herbals and like oils and stuff, there's a medicinal herbaceousness to it where it's like almost like a eucalyptus, or how lavender can sometimes do that, or certain oils, mint. Yeah, it's just kind of got this like this herbal bright lift to it but Dior Homme Parfum messes up because in the lift that's in that, it doesn't have any nuts to the fragrance. Like the base isn't heavy enough to hold it as like a strong multifaceted fragrance. The base of whatever it is in here stays. It's a little bit, the tiniest bit powdery. It's even got like a warm ambery spice, but everything in this fragrance is smooth from start to finish. I love how, I wonder if there's lavender in here, but the herbaceousness definitely makes this a very slightly smooth, creamy, powdery, but mostly aromatic, like woody freshness to it. That's just like extremely refreshing. I'm done describing this. Let's go down to the notes. I'm interested to see what's in this. Okay, so cardamom and sage. Oh man. Okay, so here's how they get me every single time. Haitian and Madagascar vetiver. So switching it up. I always tell you guys, in a nutshell, vetiver complicates a fragrance, layers a fragrance, gives dimension to a fragrance. That Narcissus white floral seems to just be adding to the dimension style of vanilla and the freshness. The cardamom, obviously, with the spice, and then woody touches with cedar and Palo Santo. Even though the cedar doesn't really stick its head out too much. The fragrance feels woody, but not necessarily cedar. Palo Santo here is a great choice. I feel like Palo Santo is similar to vetiver in that it also complicates a fragrance. It's a woody aroma that feels sophisticated. You know, Palo Santo has added a lot to beard creams and beard oils. And for all my grown men out there who are 30 plus, you know how beautiful Palo Santo is in a beard oil or in a body wash. It just feels grown man to it. It puts hair on your chest. So with that sophistication layer, the 2 levels of vetiver in there, and then just a very simple rendering of cardamom, vanilla, and cedar. Now, I will say this. I am shocked that this does not have iris listed as a note, because it absolutely has to have it in there. Yeah, I don't care what Fragrantica says. This has got to have iris in it. I'm sorry. But man, highly seductive. It's fresh in its creaminess and powderiness, and it's a very seductive but high performing fragrance. This is going to be 8 to 10 hours easily. Date night, any season, any reason. Make sure you're indoors. Don't wear this in high heat. Ageless to me. Young kids, it's going to put hair on your chest in a good way. It still has a modern, youthful top to it, so I think it can rock. Ageless fragrance for men, signature fragrance, like absolutely super signature worthy. Date night and semi-formal category exclusively. This is a nightlife banger. You got to have this in your collection, guys. I think this provides a type of dimension to it where Privé is still warranted to sit on your shelf right next to this. And that's just what it is. For those of you who like Jean Paul Gaultier, I don't know of a person who likes Jean Paul. I'm the only guy that only rocks one fragrance from JPG, and that's Le Male Elixir. But anybody you run into who has a Jean Paul Gaultier fragrance has 2 or more. Similarly, you got to have Privé with this. They both do some subtle things. They're close brothers, but this has a freshness to it. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, guys. I'm sorry. If you're a fragrance snob and you're very technical as an analyst of fragrance, you have to at least give this a 9. You might argue that there's other fragrances in this DNA that you might prefer, but certainly aren't better than this. They just sit on par with it. But I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. It's signature, it's performing, it dominates its category. Maybe you might dock it a point because it's not versatile, but it's not trying to be versatile. You actually don't have to be on a date or a semi-formal event for this. In the cold weather, everybody's going to want to hug you with this fragrance. It's highly seductive, but it's also nurturing and cozy and edgy, but smooth and inviting. The sillage on this is incredible. I've had multiple wearings with this fragrance. I'm revisiting it now because it's been quite a while, maybe a year since I've put my nose to it. But man, absolute banger. 10 out of 10. And on the spray test, it was a smash. I absolutely love it. If you want alternatives to this, you can creep in the realm of the inspirations category with something like Valencia Uomo Intense, inspired by Valentino Uomo Intense. You can go this fragrance right here. So if you want like a Reserve Privé / Gentleman Society rendering, we have Genius Gentleman here, which is $13 at TJ Maxx. This scratches the surface at least 85%. Valencia Uomo scratches another 85% closeness to this fragrance, and they're great $13 alternatives. I think the Reserve Privé DNA is not good enough as a clone. I still give it about an 8 or a 9 out of 10, maybe an 8 if I'm being truthful. But I feel like these are designer fragrances you simply just have to own, just off of the merit of performance alone, and the extra push in DNA that you get warrants the price tag on these. There's not any clones outside of these two that I think, the only reason I'm even recommending these clones is for my cheapy guys out there. These definitely do the job, and they're extremely shockingly good clones that are only $13 that literally beat out many of the clones, maybe other than like Gary's Den, but Gary's Den is not this DNA exactly. It's just a close cousin rather than a close brother. But I'm just mentioning them so you guys have some alternatives. Sound off in the comments though, guys. What do you think about this fragrance? Are there any other alternatives that you think hold a candle to this designer fragrance? Again, this is the house of Givenchy, and this is the black bottle of Gentleman Society for Men. Great date night, great winter fragrance, ageless to me. 4 to 6 sprays is going to totally get the job done for 8 hours plus. And yeah, it's a great fragrance. Gave you guys some alternatives. Again, I hope you guys have a blessed week. Let me know if there's anything else I can answer to you for these fragrances. But I think in the designer category, Givenchy really reigns supreme in the date night and cold weather fragrance category. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day. And until next time, signing off. Peace.